promise of Jesus Christ. All right. We are continuing in our study of 2 Thessalonians, and last week we saw how basically he wanted to emphasize that there is hope in the persecution that they are going through. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it seems unfair. Sometimes it even feels like God is not in control, like he's abandoned them or forgotten them. But he wanted to make sure they understood, no, there is hope in persecution, and then really in the coming judgment. And really it was twofold. Remember, he kind of talked of it as, first of all, you know that the persecution you're going through will be set right. It's not forever. Jesus Christ is coming. He will deliver you. You will be rewarded. You will be with him forever. There is that hope, you know, this only lasts for a short period of time. But also, kind of, it shows that he will punish them too. And he wanted to kind of change their thought process on those who persecute. And don't look at them and look at the situation as, woe is me. Oh, how terrible it is for me. He almost flipped it around and said, you got to start thinking about them too. Because what is ahead of them? If they continue on their path, if they keep doing what they're doing, what is their eternity? There is no hope unless they turn to Jesus Christ, right? So this isn't good for them. They're not winning. This isn't a great thing that they're doing this. They will be set right, and God's not happy about it, but he will judge, won't he? And that coming judgment is coming. So as we look at this again, as we talked about last week, don't say woe is me, say woe is them. And use it as an opportunity to let them know that God is watching. He's seeing what they're doing. And they need to come to Jesus and seek his forgiveness. So he basically ended chapter 1 with, there is hope in the coming of Jesus Christ. There is hope in the coming judgment. Because you will be saved from that. Everything's great. But there's a problem. Because evidently, as we get to chapter 2, there were some people who were lying to them. And they were coming to them and saying, even in, it appears, in the name of Paul, in the name of God, in the name of Silas and Timothy, basically saying, they said this, that Jesus Christ has already come. And they went into a panic. And they were like, wait a minute, he's already come. We missed it. We missed the coming of the Lord Jesus Christ. Now there is no hope because we missed it. And they started getting in a whole panic. And that's what chapter 2 is all about. To kind of calm their spirit and say, it's going to be okay. So let's get to it right now. Let's get to verse 1 of chapter 2. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 1. Now we beseech you. And whenever Paul says that, and he says it a lot, I beseech you, I see him going like this. Beseech you, please, please. He's begging them, please. By the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ and by our gathering together unto him. I beseech you, by the very fact that Jesus Christ, first of all, is coming again. Do you believe that? He would say to them. Do you believe that? Yes, we believe that. Do you believe that all who do believe in him will be gathered to him when he comes? Yes, I believe that. So hold on to that. I beseech you, by those two facts that you know, don't be led astray by lies. And by the way, this is a good way to deal with all the lies in our life. You realize how many times a day you're lied to? All kinds of people, Satan, even yourself sometimes. There's constant lies. And it's almost like the best thing we can do is say, I beseech you to hold on to the truth that you know. And did they know that Jesus Christ is coming again? Did they know that he was going to gather them together, all who believe? How would they know that? There are a bunch of people in Thessalonica. How could they possibly know that? Oh yeah, he already told them that. Let's go back to 1 Thessalonians. What did he already told them in the first letter? 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, we'll just do verse 16. 1 Thessalonians chapter 4, verse 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. We know this passage, don't we? They knew this passage. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. Now, that to me sounds like he is coming when? When he says things like, when we which are alive and remain until, it sounds like it's pretty soon, isn't it? Well, that's basically evidently what they were being told. See, Paul said he was coming soon. It was imminent, he said. He said, we're going to be alive when he comes. So he must be coming right now, and we missed it. But is that what he really said? No, he said, any of those who are alive, whatever believers are alive at that time, when the time right. In fact, what does the very next chapter say? And you have to remember, when these were written, there were no chapters or verses. What was the next sentence he wrote? But of the times and the seasons, brethren, you have no need that I write unto you, for yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. I'm not going to sit here and tell you when. There's no reason to even sit here and think about, to waste our time talking about when this is going to happen, because we don't know. And it's going to be coming when we least expect it. Verse 3, for when they shall say, when the world shall say, peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. But you, brethren, are not in darkness, that the day should overtake you as a thief. And again, they probably hooked onto that a little bit too. But you, it won't take you as a thief. You Thessalonians who are alive now, right? So it must be imminent. It must be coming now. How many have ever been taught that? Jesus Christ can come at any time. Yeah. The fact is, that's not what the Bible taught when the Bible was actually written. And this is where we get into a problem with some people saying that 2 Thessalonians was not written by Paul. Couldn't have been. Because it contradicts what he says in 1 Thessalonians. In 1 Thessalonians, he said clearly that at any moment he can come. In fact, in that very next that generation itself, right there and then, he could have come at any time. And therefore, people were fooled. 2 Thessalonians does not contradict that. It clarifies it. Let's go to what it actually says. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 2. Let's see what the problem is first. That you be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, so somebody coming to claim to be speaking through the Spirit, somebody claiming to speak prophecy. So don't be fooled by somebody just coming and saying they speak the truth. Nor by word, somebody just coming and saying, this is what I've come up with. This is my idea. This is what I think you should know. Nor by letter as from us. And that's what some people evidently, they sent a letter to them and claimed it was from who? From Paul and Silas. See, they're the ones telling you he's already come. Don't believe them. As that the day of Christ is at hand, or actually that to be interpreted is has already come. That Christ has already come. Do not be shaken. Do not be fooled. He has not come yet. Which frankly, the fact that they're getting a letter from Paul should tell you what? Jesus hadn't come yet. Because how many think Paul would have gone? That should have been a big indication that he hadn't come yet. But he's saying here, no, let's back up a little bit. Yes, he will come as a thief in the night. He will come when they least expect it. And those who are alive and remain will go and be with him, and he will take them up. But he also says this, verse 3, let no man deceive you by any means, for that the day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. He says, no, wait a minute. I just said it's coming. I just said he's going to come as a thief in the night. I never said it could be today. Because we have to realize something. Some things have to happen. Jesus said some things had to happen. And if you go back and look at the Mount of Olives, when he did the Olivet Discourse, as he sat there and talked, he said there's some things that need to happen. There need to be wars and rumors of war and famines and pestilence, and there needs to be martyrs and taking you and killing you and turning from you and father against son and son against father. All that's going to happen. He says these things have to happen before he comes. Now, just so nobody panics, have they happened now? Yes. So, and let's just be clear here. Can he come today? Yes. There's nothing preventing him from coming today. All of it's been fulfilled. Everything that Jesus said was going to happen. And in fact, what he said is going to happen. Have we seen a falling away? Have we seen apostasy in this world? See, at the time he wrote that letter to first letter to the Thessalonians, and now as he writes the 2 Thessalonians, the word is still doing what? Going out. In fact, what did Jesus say had to happen before the end comes? The word had to be preached. To whom? It had to go out. It was still on the incline. It was still growing. They shouldn't have been sitting there saying, he's coming today, he's coming today, he's coming today. He is coming, though. In fact, they should have been saying, what? Let's get this word out of here so he can come. Right? And there had to be a falling away. In fact, let's go over to 2 Timothy chapter 3. What is this falling away thing? 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. Keeping in mind, who was traveling with Paul when he went to Thessalonica and when he was writing these letters of 1st and 2nd Thessalonians? Who was with him? Timothy. Timothy was with him. So this is almost like him reminding him too, as a pastor. Keep these things in mind. Chapter 3, verse 1. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come. For men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontinent. That's not what you think it means. It means without control. Fierce, despisers of those who are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of God, having a form of godliness. Because frankly, to this point, I'm going, yeah, since Adam and Eve. since Adam and Eve. But here, this is really the apostasy. People claiming to love God, claiming to be followers of God, having a form of godliness, but what? But denying the power thereof, denying God himself. From such turn away, for as this sort are they which creep into houses and leave captive silly women laden with sins, led away with diverse lusts, ever learning and never able to come to the knowledge of the truth. By the way, have all these already happened? Yes, these are constantly happening. And frankly, can you imagine what Paul would think of radio and internet and TV and how the lies are coming into our houses? They're not creeping in. We're inviting them in. We're saying, come on in. Bring the lies. Bring just come on. Keep dumping it in our houses. And this is happening, isn't it? It's happening to who? All of us. Even the church. It's creeping in, isn't it? And he says, this has got to happen first. And that's his point. Let's go back to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 3 again. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for that the day shall not come except there come a falling away first. So it had to see that first. We had the word going out. We had the apostles. We had that first generation, all the church growing. And then what happened? The apostasy. And then it started crumbling. And then even from inside, we've seen the church coming and going in ebbs and waves over the years, haven't we? It's all those things happen. But it had to happen first. And then what? The man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition or destruction. Who do you think that is? That's the Antichrist. He has to be revealed. Now, There's a couple of ways to think about that. Does that mean the Antichrist has to stand up somewhere and be acknowledged as the one world leader before Jesus Christ can come and take his church home? No. That's not necessarily what it's saying. Because it could happen at the same time, couldn't it? But if he's sitting there talking to people who say, oh, he's already come, Jesus Christ has already come, basically his point is, hey, if Jesus Christ has already come and already taken his church home, who should we be seeing right now? We should be seeing the Antichrist. We should be seeing all of those things that he talks about, all those terrible things that are going to happen after the church leaves. Those should be happening, and they're not. He was not there. There was no Antichrist at that time, right? He had not stood up. In fact, what does it say in verse 4? Who opposes and exalts himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sits in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. It's that kind of Antichrist, one who established himself as not just king, but God and ruler of all things. He says, hey, if Christ has already come and taken his church home, he'd be here. Anybody seen him yet? No. Now, there's another way to look at it. Another way to look at it is when he's talking about the day of the Lord, is he talking second coming? And we know before the second coming, when he comes down to Armageddon, when he comes down to ride in Jerusalem, we know who would already be there. The beast and the prophet will already be there. But either way, if you don't see him, Christ hasn't come yet, right? But as we sit here today in 2021, can it be today? Can it be now? Because we have seen what? What had to come first? The apostasy had to come first. The turning away, the hardening of people's hearts away from the truth. That had to happen first. And then what? Then he can come and we will see the Antichrist, this one who will establish himself. In fact, he goes on to kind of remind them about what it's going to be. Verse 5, remember you not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. I told you how this was going to happen. I told you, and even more than we wrote in 1 Thessalonians. Why do I say that? Because he says, when I was with you, I told you these things. He wrote them those things in 1 Thessalonians, already having established a base with them. But how easy it is for somebody to come in and lie. Take a little bit of something that was said, a little bit of something that was written, and twist it. For what purpose? Just to make them fear. To shake their faith. To bring in doubt. And that can be both powerful for manipulation as well as powerful for, frankly, money. People use it for all kinds of things, don't they? And he says, you know the truth. I have told you this. Not just what I wrote to you, but I've told you this. You should be established in this. If anybody says he's already come, you can already say, no, he is not. Nobody would teach this today, would they? Yes, there are people out there still teach this today, that Jesus Christ has already come. We're in the millennial kingdom, blah, 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 blah. People will say all kinds of stuff, but do we have the truth in front of us? And who do we have to make that truth clear to us? We have the Holy Spirit, don't we? Seek the truth and you will find the truth. So I told you these things, and also, verse 6. Verses 6 and 7. And now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, only he who now letteth will let until he be taken out of the way. Well, that's a lot of words. It's almost like he's throwing words on a page there, but this is all he's saying. Who's in control? And who is the one holding back the coming of the Antichrist? Who's withholding that right now? God is. That's something to kind of think about. Often we think of God the Father, right, who's in control, waiting and being patient in sending his Son. But who does he send before that? We're waiting for the Antichrist to come too, aren't we? Wait for that to happen as well. And when could the Antichrist have come? 100 AD, 200 AD, 300 AD, 400 AD. Could have come any time, couldn't he? But God has said, no, I'm not going to let him come. I'm not going to let that be established. I'm not going to let that happen until it's time. What is he waiting for? Do we know what God's waiting for? What does Peter tell us? He's just waiting for us to come, just for more to get saved. Because if judgment comes, is that what God really wants? I mean, how many here would like Jesus Christ to come today? But do you realize how many people out there aren't saved? How many people are lost? So that's the way God looks at it, right? He says, no, it's not. I'm not going to let it happen yet. It will happen, but not yet. He is being patient, and he is waiting for it to come. Let's go over to 1 John chapter 4. A reminder from John. 1 John chapter 4, starting in verse 2. Hereby know you the Spirit of God. Every spirit that confesses that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is of God. That is a truth. We know it. Jesus Christ is God in the flesh, right? And every spirit that confesses not that Jesus Christ is come in the flesh is not of God. And this is that spirit of Antichrist, whereof you have heard that it should come, and even now already is it in the world. That's something we need to keep in mind. The spirit, the concept of the Antichrist is just one, is denying who Christ is. How long has that been with us? Since Christ came, since Christ left. It's been. So that spirit of the Antichrist, that denial of Jesus as God, and you look at it today, how many world religions are out there? So many. I'm always amazed how many world religions, how many people follow a religion that claims that Jesus Christ is a prophet. How many even say they are saved somehow by Jesus Christ, yet deny what? Deny that he is God, deny that he is in the flesh, deny that he died, denied something about him, right? That is the spirit of the what? Antichrist. It is the evidence of the apostasy, claiming to be godly, yet denying the very power thereof, right? And it is there, and it is time, and it could be now. It could also be 100 years from now. We don't know, do we? But we need to be ready, because unlike the people here in Thessalonica who hadn't seen it yet, we've seen it, haven't we? And he could come at any time. And the spirit of Antichrist, the lies are already out there. The blinders are already on the people. The apostasy is already running rampant out there. The people's hearts are cold all over the place, aren't they? All the things that Jesus Christ said were come have come. Which should also remind us that what? He is coming, right? Yeah, that is true as well. So let's go back to 2 Thessalonians again. So where's the hope? If you're Thessalonica, it's like, well, no, wait a minute. After we got that first letter, we were all like, yay, Jesus is coming. Now you've just told us it's going to get worse before it gets better. Isn't that what he just said? There's going to be a great falling away, and people's hearts are going to, it's going to get horrible. It's going to be terrible before Jesus comes. Where's the hope in that? There's going to be an Antichrist. There's going to be somebody establish himself as God, as king of the world. All this is going to happen. How is this good news? So, to be clear, who wins? Who wins at the end of the day? And he wants to make sure they understand that as well. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, verse 8. And then shall that wicked, and that is that Antichrist, known in the book of Revelation as the beast, that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. When Jesus Christ comes to earth, who will he destroy? He will destroy the Antichrist. In fact, where do we find that? We find that in Revelation chapter 19, verse 19. Keep something in Thessalonians, but let's go to Revelation. This passage will seem very familiar to anybody who was here this morning. Revelation chapter 19, verse 19. And this is at Armageddon as the armies march. And verse 19. And I saw the beast and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army, as they marched towards Jerusalem to destroy the people of God. This isn't the church. Church is already gone. But marching on Jerusalem and the people of God, Jesus Christ comes riding down, right? With the written on it, King of Kings and Lord of Lords. And he shall come with his army, verse 20. And the beast was taken, and with him the false prophet that wrought miracles before him, with which he deceived them that had received the mark of the beast, and them that worshipped his image. Those both were cast alive into a lake of fire burning with brimstone. So, who's going to win? Jesus Christ will win. Tough days are ahead. And as we look around this world, we do say, boy, this place is terrible, right? You do realize it's going to get worse, right? This is going to get bad. Now, how much of it the church is going to have to endure? When's that rapture? And when all the judgments and stuff come in, we can have arguments about that. We can discuss that. We're not 100% sure. All I know is who wins. God wins. And it's going to be all right. In fact, look what it says, starting in verse 9. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2. Go back there, verse 9. He will destroy the wicked one. He will destroy the Antichrist, the beast of the book of Revelation. He will destroy him who has established himself as God, but he will also destroy who? Verse 9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness, that's a strange word, of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And that one, the other one, is the prophet. We saw that, didn't we? He was the one who came and did signs and wonders so people could worship who? The beast. And he will also be destroyed. Both of them will be cast out into the lake of fire. Right? So they will come and they will deceive. Both of them will deceive many. And they will be turned away from the truth. The apostasy will just get worse, won't it? And can you imagine what this world's going to be like when the church is taken? And the beast and the prophet are allowed just to kind of run amok. It's going to be bad, isn't it? But is there still hope? Because who does it say wins? Jesus Christ wins at his coming. Verse 11. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie, that they all might be damned who believed not the truth, but had pleasure in unrighteousness. I'm always curious. I don't know about you, but I'm always curious. If all of this is written down, Book of Revelation is written down, right? Says it in Matthew, Daniel, they're all written down. Tells us exactly what's going to happen. As it's happening, as you are a soldier marching towards Jerusalem, and the captain says, you ought to stop tonight in the valley of Armageddon. Who doesn't get that? How can you not figure out then what's going on? How could you not see when all these people disappear? When all the children of God are gone, how can you not put it all together? How can you not figure it out? And our answer is right here. Who will not let them? Those who receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. Those who rejected God's love, rejected when it was a matter of faith, when they were just told that this is the truth, that this was coming, they are not evidently going to get that second chance. Now, I don't know how far that goes, but this is very much like when Jesus came. When Jesus came, he said what? their hearts will be hardened, so they would not believe and not be saved. That seems so hard, doesn't it? But you have to remember, the people he's talking about is people that he came to, people he did miracles in front of, people he showed the truth and told them the truth, and they rejected it. And at some point, God says what? You're not going to see. You've rejected it over and over again. I've shown you over and over again. And I'm going to give you delusion. A strong delusion that they should believe a lie. That always reminds me of, too, at the very end, after the 1,000-year reign, Satan is loosed, right? Out of the pit. And he comes back and he will actually convince the world to go and fight who? What in their mind would think they can win that? They can go against Christ, go against him, destroy him and all they've been through the last 1,000 years. What could make them think about it? Well, God has given them a very strong delusion, because up until that point, what had they done? Rejected God's love, rejected God's truth. Does that mean people don't have a chance? They always have a chance, but there comes a time, evidently, and I don't know exactly when that is. How many are okay with God deciding this one? But I'm always curious, how can people not know? How can they not figure it out? How could Satan not figure it out? How could Satan not know? Well, when you've rejected God, rejected his love, rejected the evidence that's been put in front of you over and over again, can there come a time where God says, they will have eyes, but they will not see. They will have ears, but they will not hear. They will have heart, but they will not love. It's no. So what responsibility does that put on us? When's a good time to let them know? See, you can't sit here and say, this is what I always take from this, especially that passage right there. You can't sit there and say, well, I'll tell them all about it. If they don't believe, that's fine. Because when they see it all happen, then they'll believe. Not necessarily. Not necessarily. We've got to tell people when. Now, because when can Jesus come? How much longer do we have? We don't know. But unlike, as he writes there to those in Thessalonica, there was a little bit of time. Don't know how that, by the way, that could have happened in a year, could have happened in 6 months, could have happened in 3 months. That apostasy coming of the Antichrist could have been in their lifetime. He never said that couldn't be in their lifetime. But something had to happen first. Right now, as we sit here today, it doesn't have to happen. Christ can come. And we've got to be ready, because people will reject. They will believe a lie. They will be fooled by the beast. They will be fooled by the prophet. They will be fooled by Satan. They will be fooled by their own heart. Won't they? So we need to keep praying for people. Because no matter what they do to us, no matter what they're doing now, who can be saved right now? Anybody who turns to him. And we need to go out and tell people. Let them know and hope they come to him, right? Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we thank